Welcome to Real People, Real Voices. I'm your host, James Jackson.
I'm your co-host, Pastor Wayne Moore.
Always a pleasure to host with you.
It is, my brother. It is. Happy to be with you today.
Likewise.
Yeah, we're having a great time so far.
Yeah, and we're 2 years doing this show.
Yeah, 2 years. God has blessed us. Some thought that we would not be here. We need to thank our sponsors. They have a great deal of responsibility in helping us be here. I want to thank Lee Kossel and Crawley for being with us as a sponsor. I want to thank the Stewart Mortuary as well. Not only that, but Fervent Care Christian Academy also helps sponsors us. And anyone who has a great desire, just call the station and tell you want to be a sponsor of Real People, Real Voices. And we'd love to have you and make sure your business is lucratively talked about on this show.
Yeah, great community affairs show here.
Yes, it is.
And you all have made that possible as well. And certainly want to thank WHMB TV 40 and all the folks who make this possible.
Yeah, the crew, the people who you never see.
Some are all family, certainly.
We're all, yeah. And so we're grateful to be a part of this family as well.
Yeah, so you can also go to our YouTube page and follow us there on YouTube. In fact, become a subscriber on the YouTube. Also go to Facebook and like us on Facebook.
Like us on Facebook, because there's a lot of things on Facebook you don't need to like, but like us.
Yeah, that's a good one.
On Facebook.
So you're going to be tremendously blessed. We've got a wonderful guest coming up, Ms. Chris Meadows, who is founder and CEO of Empowerment.
A woman of empowerment.
Well, she's actually CEO of Harvest Girls International.
Yes.
And their mission, or the topic today, is empowerment.
That's what I see.
Yeah.
Empowerment. A woman of empowerment.
And she's going to help a lot of folks. So stay tuned. We'll be back after this. Welcome back. We're joined by Ms. Chris Meadows. Welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure to be here.
Happy to have you, Ms. Meadows.
Oh, it's great being here.
Yes.
Well, talk to us about Harvest Girls International. You've done a lot. You've received numerous awards.
Yes.
What is Harvest Girls International?
Yes, Harvest Girls International is a women's empowerment organization, and we empower young girls, but we empower women with the power to dream, to celebrate the journey, no matter what has happened to you, what you've done, what someone has done to you. There's still a celebration in you. Everything about you can be used. We empower young girls ages 9 through 17 with the power to dream. We have a program called All Girls Matter, and they do, Self-Esteem Academy, and it's free. Every month we empower young girls, and we teach them the power to dream. And we know without that dream they perish. And so we put in them self-love, self-worth. We teach them how to stand strong, square their shoulders, speak their truth, embrace their inner beauty and their outer beauty. Basically, that's what Harvest Girls is all about.
How long have you all been doing this?
This is 10 years.
10 years?
10 years, so this is a milestone.
How did you get started?
I have to tell my story. I was in a state of depression. I was going through divorce, single mother of twins, and I didn't know how to fix it because I didn't know what it was. I knew something was missing. And so I started to say, it's got to be something more than this. And the only prayer I could pray was, Lord, help me fix it. Or help you fix it, Lord. Help me, show me. And that's the only prayer I could pray because everything else was so heavy on me. Once I started to tap into the inner me through the power of Christ, my Lord and Savior, I started to embrace the authenticity of who I was. And that was a great thing. I didn't realize that it didn't start with the divorce and my marriage. It started when I was a little girl, being teased, being bullied, and all the way through life thinking I was less than, even though people never thought that because I was so outgoing and I was so happy. And it was something on the inside that was always missing. So when I found myself, the first thing I said, I want to teach other women to never suffer the way that I have suffered trying to find who I really am.
Something was broken on you.
Something was broken, yeah. And so I started Harvest Girls International with no money. I just went and Googled free business cards, free websites, I didn't let that stop me. because I didn't miss the miracle looking at the money. Because sometimes if the money's not there, we say, I can't do it because I need this,
no
this,
longer
and this.
a miracle.
No longer a miracle.
Yeah.
And so I designed a logo that I still keep. That logo cost me $4.96, and I keep it to remind me that don't despise small beginnings.
Right.
And so now we are a international organization. And we're just here to help and to reach women and young girls to be the best that they can be and to create change in them. So the acronym for change that we use is creating hope and newfound great expectations. That's the acronym for change.
And speaking of change, if the shoe fits,
If the shoe fits.
I'm sure it would be a life-changing event for
Yes.
women. Tell us about that.
Yeah, I came up with If the Shoe Fits. Women love shoes. We know that. And so I thought about it. There's a old proverb that says, if you can't judge a person unless you've walked a mile in their shoe. And so I thought about if the shoe fits, wear it. My mother used to say that all the time. And so I thought about if the shoe fits, if there is a need in the community that we can heal, if there's a hurt that we can help heal. If we've been down that road, another sister's been down, we've been in those shoes. And if that shoe fits, we need to wear it by doing something about it. So If the Shoe Fits is a white party, all white affair. Men and women can come. It's our signature event for our organization. And we raise money for the organization. But here's what I love about If the Shoe Fits. We give college book scholarships to young girls who are going to college, who may not ever have that chance because of funding. So we said we'll fund their college books. So we have 7 girls this year that will be funding their college books.
It's outstanding.
Yes.
7 girls?
7 girls.
Perfect number according to the
Absolutely.
to the Word of God.
Absolutely, it is.
Yeah.
And I'm so excited about it because the scholarships range from $500 to $1,000.
That is great excitement.
Yeah. So
You
I'm
sound
excited.
like you enjoy being saved
I love being saved.
Really?
Yeah. If it had not been.
for the Lord.
Oh, my side, where would I be?
We're
I
not
wouldn't be
taking
sitting.
we're not taking love offerings on TV.
I
now.
would not be sitting here today. I'm telling you, I would not be sitting here
Oh,
today.
my God.
You have no idea walking around with this thing hanging over you. You're not good enough. And I think the biggest thing was rejection. That spirit of rejection, I felt I wasn't good enough. No matter what I do, no matter where I go, no matter what I look like, it's still not good enough. And what I had to find out that I was looking for was on the inside of me.
People don't want to do that,
No.
Ms. Meadows.
No, they don't.
They really don't want to try to solve the problem first with themselves.
Yes.
And so they have to always look outside of themselves,
Yes.
seek some type of object
Yes.
or some individual to say,
Yes.
well, this is not right, but it's really not that issue. The issue is the
Yes.
person within themselves.
Absolutely.
And people are literally scared.
Yes, they are. Of that mirror.
Yeah.
Yeah. We have a class we do with the girls, and we have them hold mirrors up. And they look in their eyes and they start to confess the love that they have for themselves. There are girls who cannot look in their own eyes and say, I'm beautiful, I'm powerful, I'm awesome, I'm amazing. And we do it with the women as well. There are women that cannot look in their own eyes. And it first starts with you. Our tagline is transformation begins with you.
You know, we don't have very many minutes left, but being a pastor and talking to a lot of females, I'm learning that women think for the first and foremost that it's the intellect, the intelligence that defines them, and not that which is beyond and beneath the intelligence. And I don't know how you feel about that, but that does not really define a person. No. I think what defines a person is what's inside of them.
Absolutely.
And how the pulse beat is moving.
Yes.
And how transformation is taking place regularly in their lives. Because, you can change your mind every day about something.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
But when transformation is taking place on the inside of a person, that's totally different, And so people are impressed with that.
Yes.
I think I can do this. I have an ability to think my way out of this. But they don't even do that right because Christ said you ought to have the mind that I have.
Yes.
And if you have the mind that he has, you will discover that Christ wants us to have the mind that he has, but the mind that he has is deeply rooted inside of himself, which he wants it to be rooted inside of us.
Yes.
So I don't know if you run across that in young ladies.
Well, yes, we teach the young girls and the women the two most powerful words that God gave us of creative power is I am. We never tell them to say, my name is. We say, I am. I am Chris, because we're always creating, we're always becoming, we're always being transformed. And you speak that into existence when you claim your power. Most women think their power is in their appearance, and their power is in their words. And when you
Which
hear,
comes from
it
here.
comes from here.
Yeah.
And when you speak it, you hear it. It drops here in your brain, in your
Right,
mind. Then
right.
it comes into your heart and you bring forth fruit.
Yeah, people just stop right here.
Yeah, they stop.
From the neck up.
Yeah, neck
from the
up.
neck up, and that's it.
Yes, absolutely.
A neck up relationship.
Yeah.
Have you ever had one of those?
I have.
Yeah, my God.
They don't work.
A neck up relationship.
Well, congratulations.
Thank you.
Keep up the good work.
Thank you.
All the best to Harvest Girls
Thank
International.
you so much.
And those of you who are watching, stay with us. We have much more to come. We'll be back after this. Welcome back. We're joined by Ray Kareem.
Yes.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. Thanks for joining us.
Good. Thank you for
being
having
here.
me. Thank you so
Thanks
much.
for being here.
Our topic is grief.
Yes.
And you've coined a phrase, good grief now.
Yes.
What precipitated that?
My mother died June 14th of last year.
Sorry to hear that.
Thank you. And because of her death and the deaths of people, friends of mine whose family members had passed, more death that occurred in my family, I wanted to offer a safe and creative space for grief expression, and just to kind of do something different. I actually was on a plane coming back from Atlanta, Georgia, and you know they have the magazines in the back of the airplane seats, and so I picked up the magazine and saw that in California, I believe it is, there was a group that was that would have grief dinners, or dinners that were focused around grief. So they would allow people to kind of fill out a page of information or what have you. They would have a potluck dinner, and they would all meet and talk about whatever space of grief they were in. And so I had the thought to do that, but my dining room is not big enough, and so I wanted to put it on a larger scale. And Good Grief Now started. December 16th of last year was the first event.
How's it going?
It's going well. I enjoy it. I enjoy the opportunity to allow people, no matter what the space of grief they're in, because we recognize that grief is not just because of the loss of a loved one.
Right.
Grief can be experienced through divorce. Grief can be experienced, you go to the doctor and receive a dire health diagnosis. Grief can be experienced through some of the results that natural disasters bring about. Grief can be experienced, you lose your job, your sense of identity, different things. So I wanted to offer that space, but it's been going well. We have had different types of activities. Where people are coming together, maybe writing their space of grief on a big piece of paper, or we had a speaker this past event that was last month. This month we will be doing some painting activities. Next month we're going on an outing. So just different things to show people that you don't have to, first of all, hold grief in, because we know that, especially in African American culture, once the funeral's over and you've gotten everything out of the house, you're supposed to be able to snap back, and it doesn't happen that way. I don't think it'll ever happen that way. And so you just want to be able to offer people a space to know that whatever stage, if there is a such thing as a stage of grief that they're in, that it's safe, and that they're not alone, that they're not alone.
You say grief is healthy.
It is.
Or grieving?
Grieving,
is healthy?
yeah.
All of it. I think all of it is healthy. My perspective is, as long as I'm not hurting you and I'm not hurting myself, there's nothing bad about grief. There's nothing wrong with grief. There's nothing unhealthy about it. I remember hearing a pastor say that if you did not allow yourself to express that grief, it'll find its way to
It'll come through your pores.
It will. It will. That's how I think some illnesses become, because people haven't allowed themselves to express the grief that they're holding for whatever the reason is.
Now, is that the same as depression, or are there some differentiating factors?
They're cousins. They're definitely cousins,
Grief and depression?
Yeah,
I
they're
think so.
definitely cousins.
I think so.
which stems from worration. People worrying about a lot of things. You know, mom dies or dad dies, and they begin to worry about it, which gives birth to other things in the grieving process. So, yeah, a lot of people don't realize it's good to grieve, because if you don't do it today, you'll do it later, and it will compound itself, I believe. Am I right?
It will, and I think that in holding off, and I'm speaking to myself as I even say this, in holding off and releasing that grief, I think that is when you find yourself in a space that you don't want to be in. So if you feel the tears and you cry now versus, letting that build up, I think that is when we find ourselves in the dark spaces or in the harmful spaces, because we haven't allowed ourselves to release in whatever way we needed to release the grief that we
You
experienced.
say something here that is important to me, where you say we never do it alone.
We don't.
Do you believe, and this is me thinking, everybody's not qualified to enter your circle of grief?
Oh no, not at all.
Okay, because people don't realize that I'm grieving, and people who are around that particular situation, some people should not be involved in your process.
No.
And it's just not excommunicating them, it's just, they're just not familiar with what's really happening. What do you think about that?
I think it's true. I have experienced maternal and paternal loss, so both of my parents are no longer here. But on the flip side, I haven't had the experience of divorce. So I can't step into the space with a person who is divorced and say, I know what you're going through, because it's a lie. I don't know what you're going through. And just as equally, that person wouldn't be able to step into a space and say, I know what you're going through. You may be able to relate to it because you wake up in the middle of the night wanting to call your former husband or wife, just like I may wake up in the middle of the night wanting to call my mother or father. So there are some spaces of commonality, but I think when it comes to the deeper spaces of grief, we should allow ourselves to be in community with others who have experienced the same thing. And again, like you said, it's not to excommunicate people, but I can't relate to divorce, but I can relate to parental loss.
Some people you allow in your circle will compound your grief for you. You know, you could make great strides of managing the grief well, and all of a sudden someone comes in and it just compounds it, and you have to start from square one, which is not really good in many instances.
And do you all, Ray, have a process for getting people out of grieving, or is this continuous? What are you seeing? Are you seeing people come back, or do people come to utilize the space that you provided, and then they grieve for a while, and then they go on with their lives?
Do we ever really go on with our lives with grief? Like, grief itself, as far as I'm concerned, is always continuous, because you will always there will always be a time where you're missing that person, or you're missing that relationship, or you think about your house, or whatever it was that you lost. And so people talk about the new normal, but I don't know I don't even know if that exists, because it's never normal. My whole mother died, I don't have that anymore.
Right.
And so we are not, it's not like a stop and go type situation. People can come back as often as they want to, simply because each time we meet, it's different. So it's not your typical sit in a circle or sit around a table with the boxes of tissue, and talk about what your loss was, or they ask you the questions to help you get to the space of wanting to talk. If people want to speak, they can. If people want to remain silent, they can. And we offer the activities that we do. We also have a DJ so that people can recognize, yes, I'm in this space, but there are other parts of life that I can be engaged in and still be in this space. Grief does not have to stop life. There are many times where it can stop us from living, but it doesn't have to. And I think that's what Good Grief Now, that's what we set out to do.
Well, all the best to your efforts.
Thank you.
Project covered.
Project Covered, yes, that is the umbrella of what it is that I do. Project Covered, we also have another branch, which is We Cover Them, providing feminine hygiene products to women in crisis, both locally and abroad. So I'm excited about that too.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yep.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
You've been a
Thank
great
you.
guest today.
Thank you. Thank you for
coming
having
on
me.
Real People, Real Voices.
Thank you for invoking conversation.
You're welcome. Stay with us. We have much more to come. We'll be back after this. Welcome back to Real People, Real Voices. Please be sure to go to our YouTube channel, WHMB TV 40, and you can watch this show after it's over and shows that you might have missed. I'm James Jackson, your host today.
And I'm Pastor Wayne Moore, the co-host of this great show.
And I'm Faith McKinney, the producer.
Great guest on today, Harvest Girls International, empowering women. We've heard a lot about the empowerment of women over the last 10, 20 years, actually. A lot of different organizations, wonderful organization there with Miss Meadows. Also, with the guest that we just had with
Ray
regard
Kareem.
to
Grief.
grief.
Good
Yeah,
grief
grieving.
now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She gave us some indication that grief is not a bad situation if managed correctly. And
Jesus wept.
yeah, he did weep on his own at a particular time in Scripture. But even Jesus was grieved about some of the activity of his day. And we ought to grieve about some of the activity of our day, but we must learn how to manage it properly so it won't end up being negative, that it can be a positive force in the community.
Yeah. And she expressed that, grief takes on different meanings. Well, you can grieve about a loss of anything. I lost my wallet today. I'm kind of grieving about that.
Especially if you had some money in it.
No money in it, though.
But your license were in it, and
Yeah.
your ID, and
That's
Yes,
pretty
just
sad.
losing something like that.
losing
It's
something.
not a good feeling.
No.
Yeah.
Certainly, that kind of thing happens every day to people, and this is the first I've heard, Dr. Moore and Faith, of a space being provided for people to come together and to grieve together.
Right.
So, as she said, Ms. Cream said, you don't have to do it alone.
That's right. That's right. It's a good thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we've enjoyed our time with you on today, and we want to thank our sponsors, Lee, Castle, and Crawley.
Stuart Mortuary, who's doing a great job helping our community through its bereavement. Keep doing a good job.
And Fervent Care Child Care and Christian Academy. Choose Christian, clean, and caring, convenient child cares. They are closer to Christ. Hope
Right.
you enjoyed the show today. We'll see you next time.